everybody, my name is Cal, and welcome to the final review of 2019, the final film review, and in fact, the whole reason why I'm doing this film review series. So we're going back to August 2018 with Ant-Man and the Wasp. Directed by Peyton Reed, this film takes place during and before the events of Infinity War, where we follow Scott Lang, who, since Civil War, has been on house arrest because he signed a deal where he would not affiliate or associate himself with the Avengers or Ant-Man and agreed to stay home for 2 years. Just 2 days before Scott's house arrest is over, he has a dream of Janet Van Dyne in the quantum realm, which attracts Hope and Hank Pym to contact Scott to see and figure out if Janet is still alive in the quantum realm, as Janet is Hope's mother and Hank's wife, and to see if possibly they can get her out of the quantum realm before trouble catches up to them. Scott Lang, played by Paul Rudd, is highly entertaining, very charming, and extremely funny. He does play the comedy aspect very well in this movie, as Scott in this film has become a bit of a hermit, as of course he's been on house arrest for 2 years. We get a hilarious montage of Scott during his day-to-day activities, which involve close-up magic and reading A Fault in Our Stars. Scott's motivation in this movie is to stay out of trouble, but unfortunately for Scott, it is impossible. And of course, he plays the role of Ant-Man very well. It's as if he hadn't finished being Ant-Man since Civil War. I really like the costume design in this. I really liked the Ant-Man costume from the first movie, and then since Civil War they've tweaked the design, made it a lot smoother, a lot sleeker, and a bit more aerodynamic. Hope Pym, played by Evangeline Lilly, is a very likeable character. She is arguably better at fighting than Scott is, and certainly it shows. She really does take the lead in certain sequences, and in fact kind of leads a bit of the movie as well, as this film kind of centers a bit about her and her story, certainly because her motivation is about getting her mother out of the quantum realm, and she doesn't care how many risks she takes, even if it involves having to deal with shady businessmen. I really like the Wasp's costume. It contrasts and coincides well with Scott's Ant-Man costume, and I like her gauntlet blasters and the wings, and the joke that happens in the movie when Scott says to Hank, "So I assume this stuff wasn't available for me," and then Hank was like, "Well, it kind of was, but you didn't really deserve it." And of course, we see the restaurant sequence where it exploits what Hope can really do with her powers and what she really can do as the Wasp. Ava, Ghost, played by John-Kamen, is the antagonist of this film, but a very underwhelming villain. She has a sympathetic storyline in which her parents are killed in a quantum realm experiment and gains these quantum realm abilities in which she can phase through different realities and solid material. But unfortunately, she can't really control these powers as they're very sporadic and they cause her a great deal of pain. Ava's motivation in this film is to stabilize herself within one reality, because if she doesn't, she'll end up getting wiped from all realities altogether. So that means she wants to harness the quantum realm energy and all of its power, which would basically wipe out any life within the quantum realm, including Janet. In comparison to every other 2018 MCU villain, so that will be Killmonger from Black Panther and Thanos from Infinity War, she isn't a very strong villain. In fact, her story arc isn't very developed in a way that would make her very sinister at all. She doesn't really appear antagonistic. She could have had a better revenge plot storyline in which, in turn, she wants to stabilize herself, but she wants everyone else to suffer and feel the pain that she did. That in turn would have been a better storyline, but I guess you have to deal with what you've got. Favourite sequences? Definitely the introduction to the Wasp, so the restaurant sequence in which we get to see what Hope can really do suited up as the Wasp. It was a really cool, very tense sequence, and we got to see real kick-ass moments from Evangeline Lilly. Scott and Hope going to Cassie's school to retrieve the Civil War Ant-Man suit was extremely funny. Essentially, Scott had an issue with his suit as it was a prototype but kept malfunctioning, so he kept on increasing size and decreasing size and staying at random sizes. In fact, he got stuck as a kind of like a toddler size, so he was running around the school like a little kid and even got stopped by a school teacher who couldn't be bothered to chase after him. And even Hank Pym made a joke about him saying, "Hiya champ, how was school? And would you like a juice box and some string cheese?" Extremely funny, and the music in the sequence added up to that comedy. Hank Pym travelling to the quantum realm was a very interesting sequence. Visually, it was really cool with the colours, there was a lot of attention to detail, we got a bit more in depth as well. But I would have liked to have got a bit more information about the quantum realm and its sort of purposes. We got a little bit more information in this movie in comparison to the first Ant-Man film, but as we know, when we get to Endgame, we find out what the quantum realm can really do. The big chase sequence at the end of the film was really entertaining and extremely fun. I really liked the clever use of the shrinking and sizing tech, so we saw the likes of the Hello Kitty pears go really big and knock a biker off the road. I really liked how they used those toy cars and they made them really big. They got to use them as vehicles. I really liked how there was a suitcase that was a laboratory and that was getting tossed around like a football in a way by different groups. So Ghost, Sonny Bertram and his gang, and then of course Scott and Hope. That was a really incredible sequence, very fun. Kind of reminded me of a mix of Bullet and Wacky Races combined together. The good points of this film, certainly the use of comedy and how this is a great lap to have after the shocking events of Infinity War. Although this is short-lived, as of course in the post-credit scene, Scott gets stuck in the quantum realm because Hope, Janet and Hank get dusted away from Thanos' snap. This film has a really good cast of people who are very charming and very likeable, which makes this movie a lot more fun and entertaining. This film does play well from the first Ant-Man film, which was a heist movie, and this is more so as well, but it's also a sort of rescue mission film as well, and also plays themes about family and fixing relationships. This film has some really good visual effects and CGI, notably the use of the quantum realm and the details we got from that, as well as the clever use of the shrinking and sizing tech that was used throughout the whole movie, which kind of makes this MCU film a bit more unique in comparison to other MCU films. The bad points of this film. The poor use of the villain. She isn't really convincing as an antagonist, certainly her role could have been a bit more sinister. Instead, we sympathise for her and we don't really treat her as a very big threat or villain in comparison to, say, Killmonger or Thanos. This film had to follow on from Infinity War, which had very high expectations and high ratings, so this movie felt a little bit underwhelming in comparison. Despite that, I still really enjoyed it, but to many it didn't quite live up to what Infinity War did, which is a bit of a shame as there's a lot of comparing and contrasting with MCU films. Certainly you'll compare the MCU film that came before it. One that really just affects the UK alone was the release date. This film was supposed to be released in July, but because the World Cup was happening in 2018, the release date got delayed to kind of August time, mid-August. During that time, a lot of people were going back to work and preparing for school, so not many people really saw Ant-Man and the Wasp in cinema, so it kind of depleted the ratings a little bit, which is a bit of a shame. So in conclusion, I would give Ant-Man and the Wasp a rating of 8 out of 10. It's a fun, light-hearted, funny and enjoyable film that has a really good cast and very interesting and playful visual effects. Unfortunately, it suffers from a very average, sympathetic villain that really isn't an antagonist in comparison to other MCU villains that we've seen, and this film had to really follow on from a really big blockbuster film that was Infinity War and felt a little bit underwhelming. Despite this though, I would still rewatch Ant-Man and the Wasp because it is a very entertaining film. So comment below what you thought of Ant-Man and the Wasp, what were your favourite sequences, who were your favourite characters, and what did you think of Ghost? Also, what would you like to see in Ant-Man 3, which is currently being developed? So like and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys again soon for another video. Bye!